Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and this week I've been driving the 2023 Ford Maverick XLT Tremor. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4, and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be making this video because I've spent the last couple of days driving the Ford Maverick, and I have some interesting feelings about it. This isn't my first time driving the Maverick. I actually drove it 2022, back when it came out, and I really loved it. And so I was excited to get back behind the wheel and see if those feelings stuck. And I will say, I think a couple of things most certainly have changed. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out. I come out to you, and that link can be found in the description below. But let's get back to that 2.0 liter turbo under the hood, making 250 horsepower. Well, this is the more powerful option for the Ford Maverick. There are two engines offered, this and a 2.5 liter hybrid. However, if you want power, this is the one to go with, and power is in no short supply. It is quick, it is fun, and I'm really falling in love with Ford's 2-liter EcoBoost engines. I recently had a Ford Bronco Sport Heritage as a press car, and I felt the same way. Had plenty of power around town, it was genuinely fun to drive, and that carries over to the Maverick as well. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's fine, it does the job, and if you do go to the hybrid, that vehicle gets a CVT, which I am not a fan of, so the 8-speed is most certainly the way to go, at least in my book. Last but not least about the drivetrain, the Ford Maverick XLT Tremor is all-wheel drive, and there are some off-road goodies that come with that. However, you can find front-wheel drive Mavericks as well. Fuel economy, about 22 miles to the gallon. Not anything spectacular, not awful, I will say either. But interestingly, the weekend I had this was Labor Day weekend. I was actually out of town in Maine, up at Acadia National Park, and I had a 2016 Porsche Macan S with a 3-liter turbo V6 that got nearly the exact same miles per gallon. So, I don't know if that's good for the Porsche or bad for the Maverick, but you can write your own story with that info. So how does it feel to actually drive the Ford Maverick XLT Tremor? Well, that's one of its biggest shining points. Not only is it quick and fun, but it is nimble and it's a livable size. My dad has actually been the one that put a lot of miles onto this Maverick, and he comes from driving a Mazda CX-5, and he felt very comfortable driving this vehicle. It is a unibody vehicle as well, so it is going to handle and drive like any standard SUV that we're so used to these days, like the Ford Bronco Sport or Ford Escape. And I think that that's a really big selling point because you don't have to sell yourself into the rough and tumble lifestyle of a pickup truck when buying a Maverick. You can still enjoy the pleasantries of driving a normal car while having the usefulness of the bed. I think that's really nice. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature. Off to the right is my speedometer and fuel. And then I do get that little Ford digital gauge in the center. I like it. It does the job. I'm not over the moon about it. I'm not singing its praises from the rooftops, but it gives you some good info, and that's all I can really ask for. On the steering wheel on the left, I do have my cruise control options as well as volume. This does not have adaptive cruise, which I would have liked to have seen, but not the end of the world. And then off to the right, I have my menu and select buttons for that gauge cluster screen, as well as voice commands and my skip track. The overall steering wheel is a little hard, plasticky, a little base model-y, but this is based off of the XLT trim, so to be expected. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, my headlight switches, cargo light switch, and gauge dimmer switches. And moving out of the door, we have my lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows, of which they are not auto power windows. You'll find some navy blue accents throughout the interior of this Maverick, and that color is actually navy pier, which I have to give a quick shout out to, of course, growing up so close to Chicago. Moving into the center, we do get a little cubby up top. This is where I've put my iPass transponder the last week. And then we have our infotainment system. This is the Sync 3 system, not the Sync 4 system. So it does not have wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto, although it does have standard wired CarPlay and Android Auto. It's fine beyond that. It's a little small for the segment or just what I'm used to seeing in cars, but of course not the end of the world. Here's the backup camera, which is okay. It's fine. However, a little Easter egg I accidentally found out about is that if you leave the tailgate down, you can actually get a perfect view of your hitch. I accidentally did this and was very confused about why I was staring at the hitch because I left the tailgate down while backing up. So fun little thing there. Down below that screen, we do have our automatic start stop on and off, hazard switch, and radio options, of course, volume, tune, things like that. 2 more climate control vents and then the climate controls themselves. I don't get dual zone or anything like that. Again, a couple cost saving measures here in the Maverick, but I do have max AC, auto. You're gonna get by, you're gonna be fine. Then I get a USB-C as well as USB-A and a bunch of cubby space down below. No wireless chargers found here in the XLT Tremor, and that's okay. But off to the left, we do have our shifter. It is a rotary dial shifter that does take a little bit of getting used to, but that's okay. Power parking brake, and then we have a bunch of different drive modes. So we do have the Tremor button, which will access several different drive modes that you see here on the screen. Plenty to pick from that really utilize that all-wheel drive system. As well as the Tremor package does come with a lot of off-road goodies. That's what the package is that you're seeing here on screen. This is actually a screenshot from the Ford website. You can read through that and see if those things tickle your fancy. We also have our traction control on and off button, trail control, again, part of the Tremor package, 4-wheel drive lock, rear diff lock, and our brake hold. Absolutely love this feature. Off to the right, we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2023 Ford Maverick XLT Tremor. And unfortunately it fails. The 2022 XLT that I drove also failed. However, in that video, I did miss that there is a bottle holder built into the door. And a lot of people called me out on that. So testing that here today, that also fails. The bottle is too big to fit in there, but any normal sized water bottle will fit in the door. And I love that Ford has included that. Then we have a little cubby and the center console. Absolutely nothing in there. And then we'll talk about the seats. The seats are for the Tremor. You see the Tremor stitched in them, and I love the look of them. The feel of them is fine. They are manual seats. They are not heated. Very, very basic here. And driving it around for a while, they're a little stiff. They're not amazing, but it is what it is. Again, you kind of have to set that mindset for what this vehicle is and what the price point of this vehicle is trying to achieve. So, something to note that we'll talk about with the final thoughts section. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2023 Ford Maverick XLT Tremor, and a couple of things to note. First of all, this is going to be a little bit of a downside of the Ford Maverick. The back seats are not very spacious. In the last Ford truck video I did, the F-150 Tremor, I laid down in the back seat in that video, fully laid down on the floor and had tons of space. Unfortunately, the story's a little bit different here in the Maverick, but that's okay. It's a smaller truck. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit smaller. The rear seats also do fold up like they do in the F-150. Love that feature that Ford gives it. And I do have a 12-volt outlet back here. Little pull-down cup holder, center console. And I can fold these seats forward, which I'm showing you here on camera right now. So plenty of different storage options for back here. And let's just get it out there. I've driven the trucks from the 90s and 80s, and they had the little jump seats in the back. Those were god-awful. So a little truck with actual back seats that I do fit in. I might not love it, but it's miles better than anything we used to get here in the States a couple decades ago. So I am not complaining in the slightest. Just don't anticipate using this as a full family vehicle if you have big kids. But let's hop around the very back. We'll take a quick look at the bed because it's a truck after all, and then we'll talk about the looks. It's very windy today, so I apologize in advance, but we are around the back of the Maverick. Pull this down, and here's the tailgate. You don't get anything really too spectacular or special back here. Apologize if the wind is getting it, but that's pretty much the bed. However, one thing I do want to note is that you can lock the tailgate, and the Maverick still has a key. So another cost-saving method from Ford, but that's okay. Here's the bed. Here it is. Bada bing. Bada boom. Now we gotta talk about the looks. I think once we're doing this walk around, I think the Maverick is really well proportioned. It has that really boxy style, which I think in the next couple of years is really gonna come into play, especially like the new Hyundai Santa Fe that was just unveiled. With the big Bronco, I think boxiness is coming back, and I think the Maverick sort of fits that bill for the next couple of years, and I really like that. However, something I do want to note with the Tremor package, these are optional wheels that have the bronze matching, and you'll notice that only one spoke of the wheels is in bronze. This is so you can quickly identify where the valve stem for your tires is. So when you do go off-roading, you need to raise those pressures or lower those pressures, you can easily find your valve stem and get to work. A little gimmicky, sure, a little bit of spray paint or just 3 seconds of looking, you can easily identify your valve stem. But I think it does give that more utilitarian, sort of remove before flight kind of style, and I do enjoy that. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think having a Ford Maverick XLT Tremor for the last 7 days? Well, I have to say that I was decently happy with this experience. There are a couple corner cut measures that I would have liked to have seen, but I somewhat understand. Would have loved to have seen adaptive cruise, would have loved to have seen dual zone climate, maybe power seats, but that's sort of getting away from the point. I titled this video asking if the Tremor package is worth it. And again, I'll put back up on the screen what is in the Tremor package, and you can of course decide for yourself. But to me personally, no. I don't think the Tremor package is really worth it. Now, to be fair, I don't do any serious off-roading. This would be an in-city truck, so the Tremor package doesn't have much use to me as it is. But I also feel like if you are going to off-road, I feel like there's a lot better platforms that you could probably go with, and I feel like the Tremor package won't really be optioned all that much, if I had to guess. But take that Tremor package away, you save about $4,000. You can still get all-wheel drive, still get the 2-liter turbo, and still get the 8-speed. All of the fantastic drivetrain features for $30,000. Well, now that starts to sound a lot better. That starts to sound actually fantastic. A $30,000 city pickup truck is quite choice in today's market. Yes, $30,000 is kind of a hard number to swallow for a lot of people, but in the grand scheme of things, with inflation and the economy, it's actually a very, very good number, especially given the fact that the average vehicle sold in America today is $48,500 for 2023. This comes in with the Tremor package, $14,000 less than the average price of a new car. So, something just to play with. Would I spec the Tremor package? Not personally, but I'm glad that they offer it. It's just not my cup of tea. I would rather have $4,000 extra in my pocket. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Ford for sending me this Maverick for the last 7 days. Ford's been absolutely awesome to work with. I recently had the Bronco Sport that they sent me and the Ford F-150 Tremor, so I'll link that at the end of this video as well if you're considering that, but that's more than double the price of this truck. But Ford's been fantastic to work with. Thank you so much to G. Schmidt as well for organizing and facilitating the delivery and cleaning of this vehicle, and of course the Midwestern Automotive Media Association for just being so doggone good. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.